Hi, Miguel here, back with another Naruto vlog. Today we are doing Volume 7, which is The Path You Should Tread. I think this is a volume that, now that we've met all of the characters that are taking part in the shonen exams, this is the part where their abilities really begin to shine, and it's very engaging, at least for me, to see how various different, techniques passed down through families or through being associated with a certain village, or that a unique trait of that particular ninja allows them to utilize different techniques. It's very interesting to me, and it really makes me very curious as to what else is possible in this ninja world. So when we last left off, we were facing off against the sound ninja, the Otonin, I believe they're called, and Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto at this point, and Sasuke at this point are both passed out. They get a quick assist from Ino, Choji, and Shikamaru, and we finally get to see what Choji and Shikamaru are capable of doing. Choji, for one, has this thing called the Baika no Jutsu, which takes advantage of his size. It basically expands his body, but it requires that he has eaten a lot of food, which I'm very curious to see how that team has survived throughout the Chunin exam. Considering this is a survival test, they actually have to find food. No doubt they'd have to reserve a large quantity of it for Choji in order to give him enough strength to utilize that move, but it basically expands him to the point where he is massive. He basically turns into a ball and starts attacking the Otonin in that form. Shikamaru, by the way, he uses art of me and my shadow, which basically merges his shadow with that of his opponent's to the point where he can control his opponent for a very limited amount of time. Ino, of course, possesses another ninja, but then Sasuke actually wakes up, and Orochimaru's mark. This is something that I actually predicted during the last volume. Sasuke, when he wakes up, the mark of Orochimaru actually enhances his dark tendencies. So he actually goes berserk on the Otonin, to the point where Team Asuma is basically just like, we are out. We're just going to back away from this. You do your thing. Sasuke basically, he annihilates them. He actually ends up breaking the arms off of one of them, and Sakura's like, this is not the Sasuke I know, and she actually embraces him. That causes Sasuke to calm down, and that's interesting. Sasuke acts very aloof towards Sakura as a teammate and as a friend. He is there for her. He's there to protect her. He's there to look out for her. But that's all there is up to this point. And I'm starting to wonder if there's something special about Sakura that Sasuke secretly holds within his heart that allows him to revert back to normal when Sakura embraces him. Or maybe we don't know a whole lot about whatever this curse does. So maybe it's just something that would have happened for anyone who he, respects or admires or something like that. So we don't know, but my intuition is that maybe Sakura does hold a special place in Sasuke's heart, and that allows him to revert back. We'll see. I'm very excited to see how these relationships progress throughout the series. So, the Otonin actually, they beg for their lives, and they say, if you allow us to go this one time, then if we face you again, we will not retreat. No matter how poorly things go for us, we will not turn back. Sasuke and Sakura actually allow them to go on their merry way, and Naruto wakes up. He has missed this entire fight. He still thinks they're fighting Orochimaru, which is actually pretty funny. Like, I'm picturing the battle with Orochimaru. It was like, it only took up like the first part of the last volume, and I'm thinking like, gosh, how long were you out, Naruto? But he's back in action. They have to take a little bit more time for them to heal up. Meanwhile, Rock Lee is joined by his other teammates, Tenten and Neji, who and Rock Lee gains Sakura's respect for having jumped in and protected her as best as he could, which, you know, it's really heartwarming seeing that. But we don't really have enough time to dig into that too much, which makes me kind of sad. But anyway, so we quickly jump back to see what Hinata's team is doing. Hinata, Shino, and Kiba. And we haven't seen a whole lot of them up to this point, except for Hinata, who we know has a crush on Naruto. She's constantly thinking of Naruto throughout this exam, like, I hope he's safe, I hope he's okay. As luck would have it, they've already found the other scroll, like the very first trap they set, which is interesting. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure it's just luck, but, you know, who knows. But anyway, so they're on their way to the tower, and they, I think it was Kiba's idea to actually try and sabotage any other teams by just taking them out, taking their scrolls, making sure that their competition is less saturated going into the next round of the exam. But they come across, and we get to see what his little puppy, Akamaru, is able to do. Akamaru is actually able to sense the strength of enemy ninjas' chakra. And we also see something that Hinata can do. She has this thing called Byakugan, which I read it as Bakugan at first, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be the best crossover ever. But anyway, we saw, I think, Neji, I believe, is somehow related to Hinata in some way or another, if I remember correctly. We saw him do it during the first part of the exam. It's kind of it's kind of a vision technique, which you are able to locate things that are not within your immediate field of vision. Hinata uses it to scout ahead, so we learn that it is a technique that's been passed down through her family. And paired with Akamaru's ability to sense other people's chakra, they're able to sense the presence of other ninja. They can tell where they are, and they can kind of tell how strong they are. And Akamaru, once he finds the ninja, he actually gets really scared. So we're like, oh my gosh, this ninja has such, you know, a powerful chakra. Turns out this ninja is Gaara. And Gaara, Kankuro, and Temari from the Sand Village, and it turns out they're siblings, by the way. I'm not sure if it was ever mentioned. I miss some stuff sometimes, whether it be by accidentally skipping pages or, you know, just glossing over it, like in the middle of other important stuff going on. We find out that Gaara is a very powerful, very capable ninja. Even within his own sand village, he's the only one capable of manipulating sand to his needs. We see him block like an entire barrage of kunai by creating a wall of sand that catches them. We see him imprison someone in a sand coffin and crush him to death. Which is like terrifying. And Gaara is he's a very powerful ninja, and he seems like extremely bloodthirsty. Like, his siblings are very afraid of him. They're like, hey, you know, cut it out, we don't need to go this far. And Gaara's like, if you get in my way, I will kill you too. And it's like, okay, alright, yeesh. I'm very curious as to what his motivations are, as to why he's like this way, what he wants, what even if he belongs in this exam, because Anko, the person who was proctoring this exam, noticed like he completed this exam like 4 hours or something ahead of the record, which is like pretty insane and pretty terrifying, all things considered. If Gaara is that powerful and that motivated, I'm very curious to see how he interacts with our main characters, and how his motivations are going to play into the story as a whole. So anyway, so Naruto and Sasuke take a couple days to recover from their wounds, but in the process they no longer have the scroll that they need in order to complete the second part of the exam. So with only like just over a day remaining, they start wondering, okay, how are we going to find this next scroll? We kind of have to take the next battle that we can get, and Sasuke initially picks a fight with Kabuto, who they would come across, but Kabuto, instead of fighting him, says, hey, how about instead of fighting me, we just go lay an ambush near the tower, and we can find people who are who have both scrolls, or like are looking for the scrolls. We can find pretty much everyone there, and you can take one of their scrolls instead of you having to fight me, and I will actually help you to do this. So they agree to that, and they go near a tower, but they're actually ambushed by other ninja who I'm assuming aren't related to Orochimaru in any way, at least not from what I can remember. But they're also looking for a scroll, and they actually use a bunch of illusions. They use the shadow cloning technique to mess with their heads, and they time their attacks with the attacks of the shadow clones to make it look like they're actually there, but they're not, because when Naruto attacks them, they're not there. Naruto attempts to overwhelm them with his own shadow clone jutsu, and we're starting to see Naruto become a much smarter ninja, much more able to outwit his opponents. Probably not as book smart as Sakura, but he's definitely able to think his way through situations and utilize his jutsus to the best of his ability, very cleverly and very creatively, because he uses his shadow clones to distract the enemy, while he secretly gets his team out of the way and clones his team to make it look like they're out of juice, they're submitting. Meanwhile, they get behind the enemy and attack them from there. That was very clever, and I'm very glad that they did that. I kind of wish that was the end of the battle right there, because it's not. It's actually not. And that, I don't know, that felt like a defining moment in the battle where it should have been the end. But it ended up not being that way, which I feel really sad about, honestly. My video cut out there for a second. Turns out I ran out of memory. But anyway, as I was saying, Sasuke actually uses the last of his chakra to use the Sharingan Eye one more time, and it's starting to look like every time he uses the Sharingan Eye, the curse that Orochimaru placed on him gets worse. And I'm very curious to see why that is. I'm assuming it's because Orochimaru wants this ability, this very rare ability that Sasuke has. He uses it, Sasuke ends up using it to figure out how the ninja are attacking, but Sakura says, don't use it again, it's hurting you, it's hurting you really badly. We also learned that Kabuto has actually been working for Orochimaru this entire time, which, I'm honestly not that surprised. Kabuto was very suspect right from the very beginning, at least to me. He acted suspicious. His motivations were all over the place. I could not figure him out, and the only thing I could think was he's working for whoever's behind the scenes, who ended up being Orochimaru, so I kind of figured Kabuto was, a conspirer in this whole mess. I kind of saw that coming. But anyway, Naruto and crew reach the tower, having acquired both scrolls, and they come across this very strange poem presented to them by the Lord Hokage, and they interpret it as meaning we have to open both scrolls at the same time. We've seen previously in the volume that opening the scroll before reaching the tower results in a state of instant hypnosis. It knocks you out, it knocks you unconscious for a couple days, at least long enough for the exam to finish without you, which is why you shouldn't open the scroll beforehand. And my question is, does that leave you, that basically leaves you vulnerable to, all the wild animals in this forest of death. It's basically guaranteed death, all things considered. But anyway, so the volume ends with them about to open the scroll, and I'm assuming we're going to finally see what's in those scrolls in the next volume, and maybe proceed on to the next portion of the exam. I'm really excited to see how this plays out. I'm really I really, really love the introduction of these various techniques that these ninja can do in this volume. We see a lot of these techniques utilized in the first part of the exam, but like we're sitting at a desk, like we don't see them. We see them utilized in a way that can spy on other people, but we don't see them used in a combat situation or in a survival situation, which is why I really, really like this volume. I think it's one of my favorites so far. And, I'm really looking forward to see how these various techniques develop over the course of the series. Will they get stronger? Will they be utilized in different scenarios and in multiple different ways, in various creative ways that are very smart, very clever ways to, trick the enemy? As ninja do, they don't go, for a head-on assault. They find ways to get around the enemy, to trick them into thinking one thing when they're actually doing another. I'm really excited and I'm really curious. So, that being said, I will see you for Volume 8.